There is nothing worse than opening a bottle of wine and realising that it's well past its best, so I periodically check my wine stocks. For many years I've been using CellarTrack as a cellar application, and I find this greatly helps in my cellar management. So here I have used CellarTracker to find all the red wines with end drink window dates up to 2024, i.e. recommended to be drunk by the end of this year. From this list I have selected 3 likely wines to bring in and be the subject of this video. This South African GSM blend I tried at a walk around a Wine Society tasting and was obviously impressed as I bought a bottle. I bought a case of this wine after enjoying very much the 2018 vintage. I served it at last year's big New Year's Eve dinner and it's very well received, and this is the last bottle of the case. For a long time I've been a big fan and purchaser of Cru Beaujolais. Styles can vary quite a bit, so a merchant provided drinking window can be very useful. Good drinking windows are only a guide, it's not an exact science, and storage conditions are key. Half my wines are under temperature control, so bottles that I'm likely to keep for a little bit longer stay there. As you can see, it's a modified and repurposed fridge, so it's not very grand at all, but it does the job. The rest of my wines are in racks, although covered by a black cloth to protect them from light. To put all this in context, I don't buy wine to age, but I accumulate single bottles, and so my cellar management is geared towards ensuring that they don't go past their best rather than awaiting optimum maturity. Now I get to open the wines and I'll taste them blind and then again with Judith, and exciting to find whether they're in excellent condition with good typicity or whether they are horribly oxidised and have to be poured away. I can feel the tension in the watching audience. After pouring, Judith relabels the glasses so I can taste the wines blind. We taste and compare notes. After then, I decant the wines into colour-coded screw-top bottles. When filled to the brim, I find these keep for 1 to 2 weeks. This video was to see whether the drinking windows quoted for these 3 wines were correct. After tasting and drinking all 3 wines at 2 consecutive dinners, I think we can confirm that the drinking windows were pretty much spot on, which is very pleasing. The first wine was the Newton Johnson GSM blend 2019, which was 14 degrees. This struck us as particularly elegant wine, and it was both Judith's and my own favourite wine of the 3. I got a touch of eucalyptus on the nose and it was drinking very well. The second wine was the Oak Valley Pinot Noir. This was the wine we served at last year's New Year's Eve dinner. On this occasion, certainly Judith felt that she preferred it last year rather than this year. I think that's because it's a little bit towards the savoury side of Pinot Noir here, whereas Judith has a preference for the warm fruited style of Pinot Noir. And I think when the wine gets older, it loses some of the fruit. So if there's a tendency towards being a little bit savoury, that increases as the fruit diminishes. I don't mind the savoury style, so I was quite happy with it this year. But certainly, in fact, I think this wine was getting a bit beyond maturity, and I think if I had more bottles of this, I'd certainly be wanting to drink it up fairly soon. Now to the last of our 3 wines. This was the Chenin, which is one of Cru Beaujolais. It's the smallest of the Cru Beaujolais, so probably least well known. I buy quite a lot of Chenin because I have a view that if it's little known, it's probably better value for money. The crus which are normally thought to be age-worthy are Morat-Avon and Morgon. And I had a Morgon which I sort of forgot about and drank when it was 10 years old, and that was drinking beautifully. It had a sort of Burgundian quality about it. Looking back at my records, I've drunk probably about a dozen Chenin or different different bottlings over the past few years. A lot of those, quite a few of those, I drank when they were 4 years old. One I drank 5 years old, and several I drank when they're 2 years old. So they can take aging because all of those tasted fine. I think it's almost like a question of style. If you drink them early, you get the fruitiness of that and the sort of good fresh acidity. If you leave them a bit longer, you get a little bit more of a savoury character. And to a certain extent, it depends on what style of wine you like, whether you like it fresh or slightly more serious. This one I thought was drinking pretty well at the moment. In fact, it's I think some may have liked it a year ago, but I think at the moment it's drinking fine. And I think if I had some extra bottles, I'd be probably fairly happy to keep it for another year. So yeah, it's fine wine, and we enjoyed this. Keep swirling, stay curious. Cheers.